What's up, dudes? Welcome back to another episode of Rhomas Men's Team. Pretty simple. We are a group of guys helping each other make progress towards each other's goals. If you're new to the channel, awesome and welcome. If you want to help support the channel and join our pro team, head over to rhomasteam.com/pro, where you can contribute to us on a donation basis. We also give you access to exclusive content, mastermind groups, etc., etc. So anyway, hope you enjoy this episode, and we'll see you on the team. All right, dudes, we are live. Mr. Ray, what's going on, brother?
Life is good, Wes. I just charged through my scorecard, so I'm feeling good. Feeling pumped up for this week.
Love it, man. I have not even gotten started yet.
You're always chasing me. You're always nipping at my heels, Wes.
I know, man. Although I do have to brag a little bit, except for today. So that's my last sleep chart. So the last, I don't know, 9 days, something like that. Minus today, I've been on track. Full 8 hours plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 out of 8 days. The last night I got 7 hours.
And what is that sleep chart you just showed? Is that an app or is that just an Apple?
Yeah, it's an app. It's called Auto Sleep, and it just links into my phone. It links into my watch. And, I'm sure there's a bunch of great ones out there. And I know that I got sort of like sleep anxiety first when I got, not really anxiety, but like I would be thinking about tracking my metrics. So therefore it would keep me from sleep. And then eventually got used to it probably after like a week or two. And now, man, like I use this as sort of my, almost like I do the scale. It's like my optical like thermometer. I can look at it whenever I'm being a jerk, or if I realize, or honestly, if I find myself desire things too quickly or too often, 9 times out of 10, it's because I haven't gotten proper sleep. So, and then I run, and I'm now in the habit, I go and I confirm it with the app, and I'm like, oh yeah, shit, like that's why I want that thing, or that's why I'm being a little bitch right now, or something like that.
Or you're being impulsive.
Exactly. Yep. 100%. Yeah. So it just allows me to reconcile my behavior to the actual data. And then literally the mental move that I make, the script that I say is like, okay, I will act on this tomorrow, or I will act on this once I get enough sleep. And as simple as that sounds, man, like that calms me down enough to know that like, it's like, okay, I probably won't want this tomorrow. I won't feel this way tomorrow, assuming I get enough sleep.
Yeah. Sleep is key. I went to New York from Toronto for one day. I think I talked about it on Friday. And so I was up at 4 a.m. Thursday to drive to New York. And then I was up at 4 a.m. Friday to return home. And so that severely impacted my ability to get 8 hours sleep.
Yeah.
But but I absolutely agree that sleep is one of like the secret elixirs of the good life. Like sleep and like water consumption.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt. 100%.
Are 2 pillars.
Yeah. So let's hop into it. Today we're going to talk about breakups. And if anybody wants to hop on, let me know. If anybody has a good breakup story, please feel free to come on. I'll invite you on the screen. Dude, admittedly, I don't know about you, but I am horrible at breakups.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Same.
So,
I know that I know people like, how it's easier to see like whatever the biblical kind of like the biblical Old Testament expression is, like it's easier to see the speck of dust in your neighbor's eye than the log in your own, like it's so like I can think of someone in particular that is really bad at breakups in the sense that they can't break up diplomatically. It always has to be a fight and slamming doors and flipping the Monopoly board over or whatever, right? It's hi, get out of here. That's a guy that I know that I don't have a romantic relationship with that I'm going to disclose today, but there's a friendship there that ended or is suspended currently that had an explosive finish, right? And then I thought of his romantic and intimate partners and how there's always an explosive finish to each one of those, right? And so some of us, just in terms of like just as a kind of introduction to the breakup topic, some of us find it easier to have an explosive finish and a door slamming to end a breakup, or to end an employment relationship, right? Where we're the victim, they're the perpetrator, and we're slamming the door and like telling them what we really think of them and exiting like Clint Eastwood. And I'm not sure that at the end of this conversation today we're gonna decide that that's the best way to conduct yourself.
Yeah, I think Jordan Peterson, at least, I think he said that the reason for a lot of that kind of stuff is because anger can spike adrenaline, and adrenaline can override fear. So I believe that's essentially the reason why. So we're like looking for something to give us the courage, or at least to override the fear of the exit. Which is pretty funny, because it can almost be interpreted as like, oh man, I really care about you. I don't want to hurt you, but this is going to hurt you. Then you're going to try to hurt me back. So fuck you, right? Like now, I need to get like over. So it's a very interesting pattern.
Yeah, exactly. I was listening to Jordan Peterson this morning to get as part of the learning segment and then the journaling segment on the scorecard. I was learning to Jordan Peterson on breakups, and I think there was also that Navy SEAL guy who like
Goggins?
No, the white guy who's like super manly and talks like this. And says,
Jocko.
When you pour your glass of milk in the morning. Yeah, that guy. So I think there was a bit of him too. And he was saying like the person you've broken, like first of all, it was a conversation on trust, right? Relationships are predicated on trust. And a complex relationship, like if I'm going to be intimate with you, if I'm going to have an employment relationship with you, if I'm going to entrust you with money in a commercial relationship, a complex relationship is made simple: certain, safe, predictable, reliable, with trust, right? I can hand over money to you. I don't need you to give me your car keys until the deal is done, right? I can get naked in front of you and know that you're not going to laugh or take a picture or whatever. So a breakdown in trust makes that relationship complex again. And complex means uncertain, dangerous, unstable. You know how Jordan Peterson likes to talk about like the state of nature or the animalistic behavior of man in the wild or in mythology. And so, so what do you think of that? Like trust as the foundational glue in an intimate or employment relationship?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. When I created, and I would recommend everybody do this, to create their own one pager of their needs, which you should write it out, and it should be like 20 pages. Then you consolidate it down into one page for an intimate relationship, especially. And the way that I did it, I did it in a pyramid. So then the baseline layers were the fundamentals, and one of the fundamentals is trust, for sure. There is no way to do it, and I do think it's difficult sometimes when there's an asymmetry in status by one of the parties for the bottom status person to extend too much trust or to be too forgiving in breaches of trust, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I can relate to that personally, because I was in a situation where when I started dating, she had more money than me. Her family had more money than me. And that made me feel vulnerable to being disposable, right? I think, and this might be, of course, that's a naive way to look at the world, but that's emotionally, that's like the ego. That was the ego dominating my thinking. I think of women who willingly get divorced from men, or who I can think of a couple of women who more willingly get divorced from men, or more willingly have affairs if they are financially independent, right? Like there's a family of 6 people. There's a family there's 6 kids that I'm thinking of, and the ones that result in divorce and the ones that don't, I thought about it at a family dinner a little while ago, and I was like, you know what? The people from the rich family, the women from the rich family can trigger a divorce because they can rely on the family wealth, right? But the women who are married into that rich family are not as likely to trigger a divorce because they don't have that cushion to fall back on.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I can totally
So
agree.
that asymmetry. So that yeah, I can absolutely endorse that asymmetry, fucking with trust.
Yeah. Now, so here's where it leads to is, well, let's say one of those fundamentals is dented, and we get to the end of a thing. First of all, when do you decide, or when have you heard others decide? Let's say in an intimate relationship, because I imagine that's what a lot of dudes will deal with. What does that look like? When should you end it, and how?
Well, I'm going to read you a list that I found online.
Yeah.
That was something like, let's see, healthy advice for teens. Okay. On how to kidshealth.org. So gentlemen, we're going to rely on kidshealth.org today, because it was just an interesting kind of like list of how to break up, what to say and how to say it, that we can just start of starting points, and we can add layers of maturity to it, right? So like, for example, dating a relationship with financial asymmetry, like we just talked about, can trigger a fear and a lack of trust, and you need a certain amount of maturity to override that. So let's see if we need to add any maturity to this list. So what to say, and you can use this in your intimate relationships, Wes. What to say and how to say it. 1, tell your boyfriend or girlfriend that you want to talk about something important. We can agree to that. 2, start by mentioning something you like or value about the other person. Now, I've heard this known as a shit sandwich, where like you say a nice thing, you say the bad news, and then you say a nice thing. And you've talked about some version of this before, correct?
Yeah. They call it the Oreo cookie. Yeah, or the shit sandwich. Shit sandwich is actually more accurate.
Right. Say what's not working for you, the reason for the breakup. So Wes, I want to talk to you about something important. Wes, you're really handsome, but every time you go to the gym, you're hooking up with a different guy. And then, so 4, say you want to break up. Wes, I want to break up with you. 5, say you're sorry if this hurts. Wes, I'm sorry if this hurts you. 6, say something kind of positive. Wes, I'm sure the next time you go to the gym, you'll find another great person that'll fall in love with you. 7, listen to what the other person have to say. And 8, give the person space in that, like, don't call them the next day. Just like let them do their own healing. So there's your list.
Oh, so it seems like it's compliment.
Yes.
Shit.
Reality, like what? No, like uncomfortable dose of reality.
Yeah. So compliment, uncomfortable dose of reality, then another compliment, but distant compliment.
Like optimistic about your future.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And then so hold on. So compliment, saying you're breaking up.
Okay. Compliment. Say something you like or value about the person. We've been close for a long time and you're important to me. Or I really like you and I'm glad we've gotten to know each other over the last 6 weeks. So these sound very corporate, but they're just giving the teens example.
Yeah. Okay. So
nice, Gunther.
So now let's go through. Oh yeah.
Then what's not working? The reason for the breakup. Examples. But I'm not ready to have a serious boyfriend right now. Or, but you cheated on me and I can't accept that. That's a good one. But we're arguing more than we're having fun. That's a good one too. But it just doesn't feel right anymore. That's kind of ambiguous. But there's someone else.
Oh,
But there's someone else that's kind of bulletproof. The rest, I feel like the partner can kind of negotiate from, you know?
I completely agree. That one is tough, man. Like, have you ever been in a situation where there's someone else, or know of somebody where there's been someone else?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
and I've tried to overcome it. I've tried to battle through that. I've tried to bargain, and it's it's pretty hard to overcome.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I was in dude, because so when I've broken up, I don't know. I don't want to hurt the other person. Like, I think here's the mistake that I've made in the past. So that is saying, like, you just tell the person, like, I want to break up, sort of non-negotiable, I would assume.
Right.
What I learned actually from a Tony Robbins course, I think I took it too far, is to never hold your hand over the eject button. Like a lot of couples, and I used to be guilty of this too. It's just like, all right, cool. Then I guess we can't be together, right? Like, if you don't want to close the lid to the milk jar, like, that's fine. Like, I guess we can't be together long term because that shows about your shitty habits, So
it's over. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
So I would constantly hover my hand over the eject button.
Yeah.
So then I listened to a relationship course from Tony Robbins, and my perception was he said never to do that. So then I let the pendulum swing all the way on the other side. So then I would let whatever bother me, I would never like threaten ejection. So I would just pull the trigger, right? Like I would.
Okay.
Yeah. So we would argue, and then if she didn't get it, but I could understand how those partners in the past would have thought, it's like, okay, well, he's just upset about something, but not like fuming over this, because I never really yell in relationships. And then all of a sudden I would break up. It's like, look, I told you about this 3 times. Like, it doesn't seem like it's working, so I'm done. And they would be heartbroken because I never escalated to the point where they would perceive that the stakes were like the ending of the relationship. Does that make sense?
Hey dudes, sorry for the interruption here. Just wanted to let you know, if you want to join our pro team, go to romasteam.com/pro. You can help support the channel. You will also get access to exclusive content, masterminds, one-on-one sessions, etc. All right, back to the episode.
Yeah, and I'm thinking of like Staples or some store that has like a
easy button.
Easy button. Yeah. So you walk around with the eject button and you just like.
That's what I used to do. And I think a lot of times, so you wouldn't hover over the eject button. You'd be pounding it all the time. So yeah, I would constantly threaten it, and I think, and after doing some analysis on myself, that was probably because my dad left when I was a kid. So it's like, I always learned that I convinced myself at an early age that self-reliance and independence is the way to go. Like people, like everybody, like is completely independent at the end of the day, even though they might not tell you that. So just at first signs of them fleeing or first signs of them not getting along, it's like, well, I'm going to do the dirty work now rather than inevitably have it done to me.
Right. And that's something I wanted to touch on during this conversation is the cliche of like, it's better to dump someone than to be dumped. Right. And I'm not, that doesn't seem like a very mature mantra.
It makes sense. You're trying to maintain a certain status.
Yeah.
Right. Like, oh yeah, no, I dumped her. I'm not gonna lie. I still fall into that category. Like
it's getting fired, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Like she was the one with the problems, not me.
Yeah.
But dude, I still have a problem with, like, I still, I've gone through, dude, even this is how crazy it is. Even when somebody, like, let's say, likes me on Bumble or on Hinge or whatever the dating app is,
whatever it is, yeah,
dude, I get a little sweaty just Xing them out. Even if I've never talked to them, the only thing they've done is expressed interest in me. Like literally 0 words of exchanged, 0. I still, like, dude, I just don't like it. I think it has to do with my mom.
Like you feel guilty. You feel guilty expressing a personal preference.
Yeah. And this is how fucking ridiculous I am. I have sent messages back in the past, be like, I am super flattered, like, all this stuff, like, it's like, but I, and then make up something, it's like, it's just, I don't think we'd be a right fit. They probably
like an HR department. You're like,
exactly.
There were a lot of outstanding candidates and we just went with who we thought was the best fit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think Jordan Peterson, and I'm only saying this, giving this level of detail, because there's probably some other guys out there listening to this that are like me, where
Absolutely.
it's like, then you get over emotionally invested. You just don't want to hurt someone's feelings, especially a woman's feelings. Because I was raised by a single mom. So like my mom was very emotional. So she would cry, like all that stuff. So I don't want to cause that to another, especially female. Funny enough, like I could punch a guy in the face and be like, get up, sissy, you know, like that sort of thing. I don't have that same connection. But with a female, man, it's really hard. And it is worked against me in relationships and then made me take little to no action when action should have been taken, leading to an inevitable, 10x pain for her in the future. Yeah. So it makes no sense. It was short-term empathy.
Yeah. Right. And Gunther says like a guy doesn't want to hurt, right? Where you're not putting yourself first is how I interpret that. And right, and that's something that I had to reprogram in myself as well. I think it's from being from a large family that everything had to be shared. Like there was a strong discouragement towards greed, or even really entrepreneurialism or capitalism. When I think about it, right, like putting yourself first. That is something. To be honest, that's something I learned in recovery from drugs and alcohol, because, we talked about this 2 sessions ago, where one of the young men was smoking too much pot and wanted to have a cordial and diplomatic breakup with his marijuana dealer, right? Mm-hmm. And I proposed that he might actually be impressed with you for breaking up with him because you want to stay on the path of progress. And I hope I'm not speaking out of turn when I say that that's exactly what happened in that particular case.
Yep.
That the marijuana dealer was economically fine.
Yep.
And that he just congratulated this team member on pursuing excellence in his life.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So in recovery, I learned, like, I heard the expression, put yourself first, man. And that doesn't mean be selfish, right? That means so in a breakup, if you're in a relationship that isn't working, that's toxic, or where you're unhappy, or where you're pretending to be happy and you're in some just kind of like unfulfilled state, my advice to the gentleman is put yourself first.
Now, and that could be a gentle thing. So it's like, if you can, and I've learned recently, stating that to someone, it's like, look, these are my needs. So that's putting yourself first. And I'm not saying that you are bad or you can't do certain things. I'm just saying the relationship is not meeting my needs. So now, let me ask you this, Ray. How many times, or let's say you've been together with a girl for a year, something like that, which is very common, almost like what Gunther is saying. Like, you let a lot of time pass by, you're with this person, you notice some things are shaky, but you don't have the guts to say it. How should you give them a warning, unlike me in the past, to just say, yep, we're done? Should you give them a warning and give them some sort of bandwidth of time to work on it?
I don't know. Like, I'm thinking of someone, like, for example, if your girlfriend loads the dishwasher in a way that infuriates you, and I'm not crazy. I know we can all we know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh yeah.
Sarah loads it. For example, Sarah loads the dishwasher like she puts dirty laundry into the hamper. Just like darks, lights, basketball, like fadeaway jump shot, right? And it's chaos. Whereas I need, like, for my own mental health.
And so the water hits the dishes appropriately and washes.
I mean, we all have reasons. Yeah, we all have justifications for our psycho behavior. But, like, for my mental health, I need to organize. You know what it is? I was a dishwasher at restaurants for years, and I need to, like, organize the plates, like, in ascending order, and the glasses go where the glasses are supposed to go, the color is supposed to go. There's something about, like, closing that dishwasher or opening that dishwasher. What do you call that sense of satisfaction when, like, before you leave the office, your desk is in order or whatever?
I can certainly relate to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that that's like, I know it rises to the level of like a mania or like a kind of like
Sure.
a dangerous obsession for you, I'm sure. But or just like having like there's something about that. That's you know what it is. It is what Jordan Peterson said. All these things are like a complex relationship is made simple, certain, safe, predictable, and reliable. And I think those are my words, not his.
Mm.
But like knowing that your car is always going to have gas in it, right? Where or compared to the person who just never knows, right? And like
Yeah.
it has that kind of needle on empty. So so what do I say? Do I say, Sarah, you know, I'm going to give you 1 week to do the dishes the way I like them,
Yeah.
or we're filing for divorce, or we're breaking up, or like, or then it's meltdown time? Or do you just, like, is that does it help to give that person a week's notice? Or is that, or do you, is it more healthy to just explain what, like, when you're upset, why it makes you feel upset? I guess that's the question.
Yeah. Well, so I think when it reaches a level 10, should you let that person know, or what'd you say?
That it's murder time?
Yeah. Really, just saying like, hey, this is unworkable in its current state. This is unworkable for me.
Yeah. And dishes, like dishes are on the top of your list of needs.
Yeah, exactly.
Dishwasher etiquette.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, man, because I can tell you for sure I've done it the other way in the past. And now in hindsight, it did not seem fair. Because I do think in reality, we can get caught in that thing. It's like, oh, don't try to change people. It's like, yeah, but changing an identity thing or a personality trait is different than you could probably change a behavior. Sarah could, if it was that serious too, she could probably say, you know, Ray, I wish you would have given me a chance because I could have done the dishwasher a little differently. If I would have known it was a level 10 for you, then yeah, I can learn how to do the dishwasher. No different than you learned how to do the dishwasher when you were a professional dishwasher.
Yeah, we don't need to change people, but like there's like rules of coexistence, right? Like if you're gonna ride the subway, like do me a favor, don't brush your teeth in there. Don't apply deodorant in there. You know, like if you're gonna ride the subway, just ride the subway.
Yeah.
Right? Like the kind of social contract.
Exactly. And I actually talked to somebody about this recently. My next project for me intimately and interpersonally is going to be developing a family Bible, a family value system. Like, here are the values that I have, and here's how I expect my family.
Right?
Yep.
Like a constitution. Yeah. Yeah. That came up to me when I was in my meditation retreat, the Hoffman process that we've talked about before, where a guy who's like, a successful guy who is like, I think his dad was in the oil business. He was in the oil business. Now his son's in the oil business, and there's generational wealth. And like the chances of the money surviving for the fourth generation is almost zero, right? The way these things work. And so he was setting up a family business constitution, which is like a list of values that that you have to sign on for if you're going to be a participating member of the family business. Think of the Constitution, and if you're going to be a member of the society.
Yep, 100%.
And so I love that. So I love that family Bible, family Constitution. And what we're talking about here, I think, is like to avoid a breakup or to avoid ending up with the wrong person long term. Like you talked about writing a one pager of my needs. And I don't think that's that's not just for you to hand to your intimate partner, right? That's just as important for you to distill this information for yourself.
Even more important for yourself.
Yeah. So I think in the conversation of breakups, like I think you have to know, you first have to know, are my needs being met? Yeah. And therefore you first have to know what your needs are. And so there's a kind of a process that we have to undertake.
Dude,
for ourselves, right?
We should probably do it at some point with the dudes.
100%. I was just thinking, here I am preaching and like in the back of my mind, Ray, like, you don't have a one pager of what your needs are.
Yeah.
So dude, like that, let's definitely put that on the calendar.
I'm telling you, it was the most important exercise I've done maybe in my life. Like the fact that I'm even considering
like a goal, like a vision board. I think it's an evolution out of the vision board and the goals, right?
Yep. Oh yeah. Because that's the thing. How many times do we come back to knowing what you want? And in an intimate relationship, knowing what you absolutely need, man, is so important because, especially for men, if you get a female that you're highly attracted to physically, like all that stuff, it is very hard to see your needs through that, aesthetic fog that she provides, until one day that aesthetic fog inevitably like decreases, and you're like, oh shit, like she's not very nice to me. Like, what'd you say?
Shit, she's a Nazi.
Yeah.
How could I not see that?
Yeah, exactly. And this happens all the time. So knowing your needs and then sharing that with your partner and vice versa. And then that way you kind of have like, the breakup is sort of, and I didn't do this until my last relationship, so I don't have the data yet, but I'm going to assume that the next female that I date, if her and I are down for that, well, actually, there's no way I would be together with a female who wouldn't be down for sharing her needs and vice versa. If she's not willing to be like more formal or at least that committed to it, then I'm not going to waste my time. Mm-hmm. But then once you have that constitution together, it's like you say you want to be with me and I say I want to be with you. That doesn't mean anything. What the definition of want is, are we complying with the natural laws? So it's like, oh, you want a 6-pack, great, but you don't really want it because you're eating like shit. You're not going to the gym, right? So you don't really want it.
So the reality is, you just like how 6-packs look.
Yeah, it's a dream, or whatever the different word would be. We've talked about this in the past. So it's a dream. It's not a real desire. So the breakup, I loved it because one of my mentors told me, he's like, look,
virtue is what it is.
What is that?
It's the desire for unearned virtue, which we talked about the day after I went to Peterson, right? It's like, you want the abs, you eat like shit, you play video games all day. Exactly. And so, like, in what kind of like nightmare universe does someone get abs acting like that?
Yeah, right? Exactly. So I wonder if that would make a breakup easier. So
absolutely, because like, what we're talking about, and again, so I learned, this makes me think of what I learned in recovery and also in marriage counseling, open and honest communication, right? So what kidshealth.org is recommending for the teens out there is open and honest communication. Honest, I don't want to be with you anymore. And open, like, not being afraid, like structuring it so you're not afraid to say how you truly feel, right? And what we're talking about, if we can put together a one-pager of what's up, Kaizen, switch to audio only, buddy, keep your eyes on the road, or no commenting at least, okay? No commenting from you if you're on a road trip. So open and honest communication, I think, is the key to a healthy breakup. Can we agree to that?
Yes.
In the breakup mechanism.
Yes.
This is not working for me. This is why my needs aren't being met. You're not a bad person. It's just that this is what's essential for me, for my happiness and my daily function. So that's open and honest communication.
But what is your philosophy moving forward? Do you give warning or no warning? Because I'm thinking I will give a warning.
Give warning, because the point I was trying to make before I was so rudely interrupted was open and honest conversation is essential in the relationship, not just the breakup, but the relationship. And it sounds to me like you think open and honest relationship is essential in the agreement to form a union as well.
Yes.
Right? So when I was in marriage counseling with Sarah, it's not because he wasn't helping us navigate a breakup. He was helping us to learn skills to maintain a healthy relationship, or to create a healthier relationship and maintain it, right? And open and honest communication was the number one in the 10 commandments of a good relationship. It's hard as hell too. So so giving the person the warning, yes, do that, in that have open and honest communication and tell them when something's not working for you. But you're also asking me, what I'm hearing is you're also asking me, what if they do it again? So for example, maybe other gentlemen in relationships can relate to this, but every time I drive the car, Sarah like wonders why I'm not taking her preferred route, or like, or what's even worse, is why didn't you take a left back there where I didn't tell you to take a left, right?
Yeah.
Where I didn't, so like open and honest communication, I think requires, what does it require? Exactly, Kai. But what does it require? Does it require you saying shut the fuck up? Does it require saying stop being a bitch? Or does it require saying, right? Or does it, you know what I mean? Like, does it require you compromising and going the directions he says, every single time for a happy wife, happy life,
Yep.
Or does open and honest communication require, honey, we're going to get there about the same time, whether we go this way or that way. And me deciding which way we drive makes me feel like a kind of an adult with agency and self-determination. P.S. guys, that drives them crazy. When you say that in a calm voice, when you're honest like that in a calm voice, it drives them crazy.
Yeah.
It's like putting gas on the fire.
Oh yeah.
But
100%.
And so that's the thing, Wes. Open and honest relationship open and honest communication won't always be received with, gee, Wes, thank you for being so in tune with your feelings, right? You'll probably get some pushback.
Oh yeah, 99% chance. I've been there before.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So, okay, so let's just say you're in a relationship and all of a sudden it's like you feel it testing the membrane of the red zone. Like it's just starting to poke and poke and poke.
Mm-hmm.
It seems fair to say, don't hover your hand over the eject button until it's at a level 8. And then let them know, hey, this is getting to a boiling point. We're not boiling yet, but we're getting to a boiling point. I'm at an 8 right now.
I may have forgotten to mention how triggered I am every time you talk to another guy at the nightclub or something, right? Like,
yep.
I'm sure there's ways that you can think of saying it where it's like, I'm sure it's like the typical West. Hey, I'm crazy. I know it's crazy.
Yep.
It's just how I am. But the rate at which you blink makes you being my girlfriend impossible.
Yeah.
I'm crazy. I know it's not your fault. But there's the Oreo way. You could use the Oreo when it gets to the 8.
Yeah, but I think communication. Here's my personal belief, and push against me because we're both trying to form each other's belief systems here. I actually think nuances, anything 4 and below, should not be discussed unless they are happening at a frequency that makes them above a 4. So Sarah loading the dishwasher, if that's a level 3 for you, then who gives a shit? You can let that go off in perpetuity, unless it's happening every single week. Then it's like the frequency will start to get to you. It's like kind of like that Chinese drip water torture. It's like a single drop.
Have you ever had a cleaning lady?
No.
Okay, so for the normal humans out there who have had a cleaning lady, you'll know that, like, when you put dishes, when you put your forks in this section, your knives here, your plates and your glasses here, you get a cleaning lady. She puts things in different places. And you can tell her, and so it's the same thing. Like, you can tell her, but she's going to keep putting stuff where she puts it. What's the result? What's the bargain? You get a clean house. So that stuff, Wes, I've learned to put that to lock that in at a level 1 or 2.
Got it. Yep.
I get a beautiful clean house. Yes, the long kind of like spatulas and stuff don't go in the place where I put them, but that is not a breakup material.
Yep, exactly.
Right. And so I have to like, there's a bit of self-discipline required on my part.
Yeah.
Keep that on a 3 or a 2 or 1.
And that's where I disagree with a lot of people who walk away from reading these books. And I've been in these conversations where it's like, oh no, open communication all the time. I disagree with that. Like radical
honesty,
truth and transparency. Yeah. I disagree with that because if I held myself to my own standards on a minute by minute basis, I drive myself crazy. I get agitated almost by everything. So it's like I try not even to communicate or take action myself on my own thoughts and like my own sequences of thoughts. So I'd come off as schizophrenic if I voiced those other people. So I personally think it should kind of be like a reverse cliff. Like nothing is communicated until it's a level 5 and above. Ooh. Then it's a level 5. So in the example, Ray, that you used, it's like I should have probably told my girlfriend at level 5, like, hey, you talking to other guys at the bar, or you even, for me, it's like you even going to the bar. Like for me, that's not a thing, you know, like,
hey babe, I'm crazy, kind of live by Sharia law, not a Muslim, but you know, when you drive, when you're driving unchaperoned, no, I know what you mean, right? But she absolutely deserves the heads up that you're like a multiple wife having, like Saudi fucking Saudi robe wearing kind of gentleman from a diverse community.
Yes,
but
exactly.
but you know what? This leads to an interesting thing. So like, I thought of recovery. I thought of marriage, open and honest communication. Put yourself first. Because when we're on the phone or in a group meeting like of AA or NA or whatever 12-step, we're required to share open and honestly, right? So we can unburden ourselves of our shame and also help other people who are going through the same thing. But then I thought of marriage counseling, right? And the Gottman expert that you turned me on to, John Gottman, and like the Gottman expert that I went to. And Sarah realized at some point that like she didn't like the marriage counseling because we were fighting the whole time we were in marriage counseling. But then she realized, wait, he's teaching us how to fight without breaking up, right? So like open and honest communication means conflict, right?
Yes.
It's like, honey, you know, the way you load the dishwasher makes me feel like Henry VIII, you know, and makes me want to keep replacing my wives till I find the right one. It might take six. So I'm looking at this Gottman Institute article right now, and it says in relationships, not arguing means you're not communicating. And so when you keep your hand hovering over the eject button, that means you're not communicating, right? Like there's a kind of a jury inside your mind that decides when, you know, it's time to eject. So so silence is destructive. I say it, keep talking, it says. And so open and honest communication means conflict. Yes. So you have to putting yourself first and sharing your needs might be, again, now if you do it right at the beginning, like you suggest, that is going to avoid a level 10 explosion down the road. But open and honest communication means conflict. Putting yourself first means conflict.
Yeah.
Putting your needs first means conflict, and that's not a reason to not do it.
No, absolutely not. So what I'm thinking from there, and Ray, push against me if needed, I'm thinking, okay, let's say that level 5 thing escalates to a level 8 thing. Now it seems to me to be logical to create a damage control calendar, right? Like, okay, sweetie, I told you that I don't like you going to the bars and talking to other guys. You've done it now for the last few weeks. And that's the other thing. Behavior change takes a while. So it's not like, I think it's unfair to give somebody feedback and then for them to have them change their behavior, you know, a day later. So it's probably like, what's a reasonable amount of time? Probably a couple weeks worth of time is probably reasonable. Okay, great. So, hey, and I also heard from my relationship therapist back in the day, state the objectable facts. The objective facts. So state the objective facts. Okay, sweetie, talked to you about this 3 weeks ago. It doesn't seem like it landed properly. You went to the bar another 4 times since we last talked. It's now at a level 8 for me, which means we are now in the red zone like we've talked about and we agreed upon in our constitution. So now it's damage control calendar. Like I'm going to stop everything that's non-essential, right? Like I'm not going to go to dance anymore. I'm not going to go to the gym anymore for like this next week or 2 or whatever that is. And we need to focus on us, right? Like which means like 3 days, whatever that is, like some sort of damage control where we can focus. Because I do think once it reaches a red zone, life can still get in the way. And I have unfortunately put women in this predicament before. Like when I was in New York, we were working 100 hours a week and the girl that I was dating gave me feedback. It's like, well, fuck. Yeah, I agree with you. But like, and then I'd go back to work and I'd forget about the thing that we talked about because my entire psychology is overridden by working 100 hours a week. It's not that I didn't care about her.
You just didn't have the bandwidth. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So what do you think about that? Once it reaches a level 8, like that's the red zone, or level 9, whatever it is for you. Like, let's say level 9. So it's level 9. Okay, now damage control calendar, where we have to focus on us. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I think that is, that sounds workable to me. I'm thinking of two things. I'm thinking of a friend of mine who got sober around the same time as me, and his wife still goes out and parties. She's allowed to, it's legal, but she'll stay out till 1, 2, 3 a.m., and like they've got 2 kids. And so for him, this is at but of course he was such a bum that like she has the forever "you were a bum" card, like when you did this, but you used to do this, right? So
I think I know this person.
We all do.
Yeah.
And I don't think you know this person, but I think you can. You're thinking of someone else who's in a similar situation, right?
Yeah.
So first year he got sober, it was at a level 3. Well, she's going out and drinking and drugging like I used to for the last 20 years, like all my friends still do. But then it becomes a level 5 and a level 8 where in their personal situation, right, where it's becoming unbearable for him. So so that's really hitting home for me. Also, I'm thinking of like not just romantic partnerships, but like in an employment relationship where either one of your colleagues' behavior, like he's like microwaving curry at lunchtime or something in the office. And the first time it's a level 3. Now I love curry. I got like, I was thinking, whatever food you want to insert there.
Yeah,
but like if he does it every,
awesome.
he does it once, it's a level 3. If he does it every day, it's a 5 or 8. Right. Mm-hmm. And so, I guess you have to decide, right? Like, is this like I guess you have to decide, is it breakup time or is it like a kind of like a intervention time?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, so first, and let's put a pin in this particular thing. Retaliation. Dude, I have noticed that the sequence is behavior that I don't like, then resentment triggers retaliation, and an eternal hall pass. And it's like, oh, well, yep, you cheated on me in the past. And thank God, I don't think I've ever been cheated on, to my knowledge. But I could just imagine how that could trigger like, okay, great. Like, we'll stay together. I'm going to get through it with you. You cheated on me. But now, right, like I give myself permission. So eventually, if I ever get caught, I can then bring it back and say, well, you did the same thing.
Yeah.
And how do you resolve
And sorry,
that?
what is that three step that ends in retaliation?
Exactly. So behavior that I don't like or disagree with.
Yeah.
Right. And we don't resolve it. So then I get resentful. And you usually don't resolve it because I didn't speak up. And then resentment eventually, inevitably leads to retaliation, like retaliation type of behavior.
Behavior I don't like, or breach of contract or whatever. Yep. Right. Resentment and retaliation. Yeah. That is a vicious cycle. Like I'm thinking of the reuse, reduce, recycle, kind of like, the international symbol for recycling, which is like the arrows.
Yep.
Yeah, that is a vicious cycle, because like your retaliation, like is not likely to prompt sainthood in the other person, but it's it'll encourage that behavior again, that breach of contract again, right?
And here's I think it's
so I think speaking up, I think open and honest communication. I'm just kind of speculating here, but I feel like open and honest communication is your best weapon against that, right?
Yes. And I think it does make sense to really splice and like dissect retaliation, because I think retaliation is I'm doing this thing to hurt you, not because I naturally or inherently like doing the thing. Mm-hmm. So for instance, I have been in situations like being, dancing a lot can spark in relationships insecurity. Mm-hmm. Right. Like, I've experienced this multiple times. It's like, I like dancing. So I am very upfront with the girl when I first start dating. It's like, hey, I dance, usually 4 to 6 nights a week. And I would want you to come with me to see it's not like, we're not like grinding in the club, right? This is a form of ballroom dancing, but I can understand how it could spark some insecurity. So I've been in the situation in the past where it's like, that's me doing what I inherently like to do, right? It has nothing to do. It's like, I did it a long time before I even met you, but I have noticed in the past, it has sparked retaliatory behavior. It's like, oh, well, if you dance, like I'm going out to the clubs, right? Like
to do this exclusive thing.
Exactly.
Exclusive of you. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's like, okay, that's fine. It seems retaliatory in nature though. It's like, you're doing it because I'm doing this thing and you're doing it to kind of get even. And that seems like a very toxic behavioral pattern in relationships.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And as you know, I was thinking resentment is one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse for John Gottman. No, but it's criticism, contempt, defensiveness, stonewalling. So contempt, I think, contempt and resentment are kind of like interchangeable terms there, right? And so and the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse for John Gottman in relationships is something definitely worth revisiting in its own separate podcast.
Oh, without a doubt. Okay, so are we in agreement in a rough outline of don't communicate before it's a level 5, or let's say don't communicate before it's a level 4, then communicate, right? Then if the behavior keeps on happening, like really communicate at level 8 and say, hey, babe, it is to the red zone now. We need damage control. Let's clear our schedule of all non-essential items. We can both go to work or whatever, but we should probably go to a counselor. We need to create focus time.
Like we waited till it was level 8 before we went to a marriage counselor, and it ended up costing us thousands of dollars. And so, boys, I don't want this.
Uh-oh. Ray got disconnected. So let's see. I think. Oh, here he is.
All right.
Did it cost you thousands of dollars?
I think you know where I'm going with this. Like, I need you guys to have this open and honest communication. The earlier, the better. Yes, at a level 5, yes, at a level 3. But I think if we can, like, the one pager of our goals and the one pager of our needs, the sooner we can share that with our intimate partners, the better. So I think we're approaching the end of our time today, but what I'm taking away from this is open and honest communication is your best weapon against a relationship deteriorating unnecessarily or like a bad relationship continuing.
Yes.
It's going to mean conflict, but that's healthy conflict where you're speaking up, you're putting yourself first, you're putting your needs first.
Yeah.
We need to have a separate session. You need to lead a session on the one pager of your needs, Wes, just like you've led the one pager of your goals, like, and so you can share the format with us. And then something that we need to be aware of is just like when we're falling into the Cartman drama triangle, right? Where I'm always the victim, she's always the perpetrator, and you're always the savior. We should also be aware of this breach of contract, the breach, resentment, retaliation.
Absolutely.
Triangle.
100%. I would say to that, my vote, I will be doing this in the future. So my vote would be for all the men out there listening, like, to consider this. If you do not know the tools that exist in relationship dynamics, you have minimal chance of success. I mean, just men and women, in my opinion, communicate way too differently. Like, especially if you're ambitious, like it is very hard. I would say, like, spend time, go and read 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work. Go and read 8 Dates. In fact, take your girl out on 8 dates, like read that book and bring that book with you. But like go to relationship therapy or go to relationship seminars, which is another big thing. Like that's going to be my next big thing, is going to relationship seminars where you have a full immersive weekend where you can absorb all of the major tools. Dude, that is so helpful. I wish I would have started this when I was a teenager. I wish they'd teach this stuff in schools.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true for intimate relationships, work dynamics, friendships, etc. If you do not know those tools, what's that?
Interfamilial relationships.
Absolutely. Like how to create boundaries. Dude, there's so many tools that are available. And if you don't know how to use them, then you're going in with like your natural skills, which are probably basically zero because they're inherited from your knucklehead family, just like mine were developed from my knucklehead family, where it's just like they would drink and then like just blow up and then, divorce and all that shit. It's fucking horrible. So like, in my opinion, treat money as a master's degree, sales with the same thing, and then treat relationship understanding and psychology as a master's degree. If you're not focusing on that level of intensity, then like you're really leaving a lot of money on the table, per se, by not getting the tools properly.
So for one of our future Rhomas book club deep dives, we should either do 8 dates or 7 principles.
Absolutely.
And then Jordan's asking about men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Is that one you've read?
100%. Phenomenal.
And was that useful for what you just described, as in like understanding how women and men work and how to make that compatible?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I would say, let's definitely do all 3 of those books. Okay. 100%. The John Gottman book, that should be treated like a textbook. Like it is unbelievable. But yeah, all of these books. And then it's not enough just to read it. Like you have to take notes. You have to start like
analysis. Well, and that's what the book club part is, like the analysis and putting it together.
Exactly.
All right, gentlemen. The challenge for you this week. The challenge for you this week is open and honest communication. That means telling someone that you don't like it when they do something, and personal guarantee, you're going to get some pushback on that.
Yes.
And then know when you're in the breach, resentment, retaliation triangle. And I'm not saying know when someone else is causing it. Like I'm saying know when you are a participant, because like it takes 2 to tango, and like you are either going to be the one breaching or the one feeling the resentment. So just knowledge is power, and know that.
Yeah.
And absolutely. Gunther, with your little moon boot for your broken foot, I don't suggest you step up to any challenges until you're all healed up. Okay, buddy?
Yeah, and Gunther, I would love to have you on at some point, because I feel like Gunther and I run similar psychological and behavioral patterns when it comes to women. I have a very funny feeling. So anyway, yeah, dudes, looking forward to it. Go crush it this week, and have a great fucking week.
Oh yeah, see you on Friday, gentlemen.
Later, dudes.